Hello everyone, my name is Aastha and you're watching Delhi Knowledge Track. I welcome you all to our 13th class for International English Olympiad Class 4th. Today we will be doing the topic of tenses. Now tenses is a very important topic not just for IEO but for your regular communication as well as your English academic syllabus. Tenses is something that we have to know for speaking English properly. So you have to watch today's video very carefully and very attentively. Today we will be doing the concepts first and we will be doing various forms of tenses. We will understand them through examples and then in the end we will be having a quiz wherein we will solve various sample questions for tenses. For these sample questions, I have referred to the book from MTG Publications for IEO. However, there are many books available in the market and you can choose any one of them as per your convenience and your preparation. So, let's start today's class.
So, the first question that comes to our mind is, what exactly are tenses? Right? So tenses are nothing but an important tool that tell us what? That tell us when the action happens. And the words which actually tell us the action were verbs. So these verbs are formulated as per the tenses. Now these verbs, you have to understand the cycle. The verbs tell us about the action and these tenses, they tell us about when that action happens. Right? So verbs and tenses, they go hand in hand. There can be no verbs without any tenses. There can be no tenses without verbs. So both of them go hand in hand. Let's start. Now there are three main verb tenses. What are these? Let's see. First is present. Present means the current situation, the current time, that is present, and it is the original verb form. It is the original verb form. Second is past. Past means something that has happened previously. The past form of the verb is used, and how the past form is understood, and what is the past form of the verb, which is what we will do in the upcoming class as well. So first is the present tense, second is the past tense, and the third one is future tense. And how the future tense is formed is something that will happen. So we use either will or shall along with the verb. And this verb is what? This is the present form of the verb. Alright, so will or shall alongside the verb makes it the future tense. These are the three main verb tenses. And in general also, you see there are only three times. Something that happened in the past, something that is happening now, and something that will happen in the future. There are these three broad categories, right? So within these, we will be doing further more categories, which we will do as and when the time comes. So let's move on. Now for the simple, for the present, in the past and future, we did three broad categories. And now these are two broad forms which we will be discussing in these categories. For example, we will be doing simple past, simple present, simple future. Similarly, for continuous as well, present continuous and past continuous. Alright, so these are the two broad forms which are simple and continuous. These are the ones which we will be doing in the further slides. Alright, so now we start off with what is present simple and what is present continuous. So, what are their usages? Now, present simple is used when we are talking about some general truths. जैसे we're talking about some obvious facts. For example, here हम एक general truth की बात कर रहे हैं कि it generally rains in July in Delhi. जुलाई में आपने देखा होगा कि यूजुअली दिल्ली में बारिश होती है, तो एक जनरल ट्रूथ है, एक ऑब्वियस फैक्ट है. सो फॉर दैट वी यूज, फॉर दीज काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशंस वी यूज प्रेजेंट सिंपल. सिमिलरली फॉर प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस हम यूज करते हैं उसे फॉर रेफरिंग टू द एक्शंस हैपनिंग नाउ. जो एक्शंस अभी राइट नाउ which are happening right now, जो अभी इन प्रोसेस हैं, जो अभी कंटिन्यूड हैं. सो प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, शी इज रीडिंग अ बुक, मतलब वो अभी एक बुक रीड कर रही हैं. शी इज इन बिटवीन प्रोसेस है, राइट, अभी चल ही रहा है वो प्रोसेस. सो प्रेजेंट सिंपल फॉर जनरल ट्रूथ्स like it generally rains in July in Delhi, and then present continuous for actions happening now. For example, she is reading a book. All right, now let's see next. So next we have simple present and present continuous key formation. Now these formations we will be discussing in detail in the next few slides. एक बस छोटा सा you should understand that present simple कैसे form होता है? Subject plus either the verb, the first form, or verb and s or es. Now here we have an example. I read the newspaper every morning. Now I is the subject, then read is the verb. So verb की जो first form है that is used, या फिर जब s या es कब लगता है ये हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड्स में देखेंगे. कंप्लीट फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्रेजेंट सिंपल. अभी बस आपको छोटा सा ये देखना है कि सब्जेक्ट प्लस वर्ब या फिर वर्ब विद s और es एंड द ऑब्जेक्ट which is the newspaper every morning. All right, then for the rest of it, like here we have subject, then we have am or is or are. ये कब कब यूज होते हैं? This is also something that we will see in the next few slides. And then verb की ing form. For example, in present continuous you see I is the subject, then am, and then reading. Read is the verb and the ing form is reading. So the correct formation is subject plus am or is or are plus verb ing. All right, so एक basic overview हमने slide में क्या सीखा कि present simple हम यूज करते हैं when we talk about general truths, कोई obvious facts जैसे generally rains in July in Delhi, या फिर it is generally cold in it is generally cold in December in India. And present continuous जो अभी actions हो रहे हैं. For example, जैसे she is reading a book, या फिर हम और क्या example दे सकते हैं? अभी what are you doing? You are studying English, so that is also present continuous. What am I doing? I am teaching English. that is also present continuous. Now these are the actions which are happening now, जो अभी हो ही रहे हैं, जो start हो चुके हैं और अभी हो रहे हैं पर अभी खत्म नहीं हुए हैं, right? So that's it. Now let's move on to the next slide. Now we have the simple present tense rules. Now these simple present tense rules, as I told you, they are about कि formation कैसे होती है in simple present tense. Now for the is, am, are verbs, which means when we are talking about to be, when we are talking about a state of being, those verbs. Remember verbs क्या क्या बताते थे हमें? Verbs हमें बताते थे कोई action, कोई occurrence या फिर कोई state of being. So is, am, are verbs, they tell us a state of being. तो उसमें when do we use these? जैसे I के लिए we use am, I am an English teacher. And for the other person we use he or she के लिए he or she is an English teacher. And for they, for plural we use are, they are English teachers. Alright. So that's for the is, am, are verbs. And for the other verbs, either we use the first form of the verb or we put in s or es accordingly. For example, here you see alongside I, we get I teach English, right? The first form of the verb. And then with he, we use he teaches. And then with they teach English. All right. So we sometimes use s or es with verbs. All right. And here we use is, am, are verbs. These are the basic rules. Now let's move on to more formation of more further details in the formation of the simple present. Alright, so here we will be doing for simple present positive, negative and question sentences. Let's start. Now here you see I, you, he, she, it. All these are singular. Then we, you, they. All these are plural. Then I, first person, you is second person, he, she, it. All these are third person. We is first person, you is second person, they is third person. So here with the first singular person, we use the subject and the verb original form, start, subject plus verb. And then for the second person, same subject and the original form of the verb. Similarly for the third person, now this is different. For the third person, what happens is the subject, he, she, it, and the verb with s. Now this is the verb which we are using is to start. Suppose if we would have used another verb like teach, then we would have used es instead of s. So es, teaches, he teaches, she teaches, it teaches. So it would have been es instead of s. So for the third singular person. Now for the plural, it remains the same, the subject and the verb. Alright, the original form. That is for the positive sentences. Now we move to the negative sentences. Negative sentences, we insert either do not or does not. Now for the third singular person, we insert does not. What do we insert? Does not. Here. Alright. And for the rest of them, we insert do not. But one thing that you have to remember is, in the third person here, we don't have S or ES. You see, because this S and ES, this is already included in the do, to do. The verb here becomes to do. And start becomes the second verb. So the verb here becomes to do. And this ES is included in here, does. Alright, so this verb start, this remains in the original form. Right, for the singular and the plural both. Now for the question. Question again, it starts with do I start, do you start, does he start. So here again, does in the third singular form, and for the rest it remains do. And the verb also remains in the infinitive form, the original form, start, start, start. Do I start, do you start, does he start, does she start, does it start. Then for plural, do we start, do you start, do they start. Alright, now this chart is very important for your simple present. Let's move on. So now we have present continuous. So let's see how are we going to do present continuous now. Here, positive sentences, negative sentences and questions. Alright. So again, now this is all singular and this is what? Plural. Right, and this is the third person, first person, second person and the third person. Similarly for plural, first person, second person and third person. Now here the formation, as I told you, was what? The subject plus either am or is or are, and then what? Then the verb, and then verb with the verb what is formed? ing. Alright, so let's see. In the positive first person, we start with I, am, right? And then the verb is start plus ing. Am is used with I. Then for the second person, you, and what is used? Are. And the verb start plus ing. You are starting. Then for the third person, subject and is, and verb plus ing. He is starting, she is starting, it is starting. Then for the plural, first person, we are starting, verb plus ing. Then the second person, you are starting, and the third person, they are starting. For the negative, now here we insert an not. We insert a not, that I am not starting. And all we have to do is insert a not here. Not. He is not starting. She is not starting. It is not starting. We are not starting. You are not starting. They are not starting. Alright. Then for questions, we begin with the verb. We start with the verb and go on like, am I starting? Are you starting? Is he starting? Is she starting? Is it starting? Are we starting? Are you starting? Are they starting? Alright, now this is all for the present continuous formation. Alright, so now we have a few more usages, that when do we use present simple and when do we use present continuous. Let's see. Now present simple indicates your present habits, whatever your ongoing habits are. For example, we have the wild animals, they prefer to live in their natural habitat. This is a present habit for the wild animals, subject, and the verb is prefer, and then the object. Alright, but for present continuous, when we talk about habits, as always, that for example, she is always coming to class late. So how did we form this? Subject plus either we use is or am or are. Then we have inserted an always, and coming, which means come plus ing, verb and the ing form and the object. Alright, so present habits are indicated by present simple and always habits are indicated by present continuous. Let's move on. Now when we are talking about some timetable events, like some things which are set as per the timetable, like my aunt's family arrives at 12 noon today. Right, this is a timetable event. So for that we use present simple. Then for some kind of future arrangements, but immediate. Alright, immediate future arrangements which you are planning right now or which you are talking about right now. Like my friend is planning to meet me in the evening. So this is your future arrangement, but you're talking about it right now. You know that we are planning to do this. So we are still planning. This is a continuous thing which is happening. And again for always also, this is also a continuous thing. She's always coming to class late. मतलब अभी भी वो habit continued ही है. Right? This arrangement is also अभी भी continued. The planning is still going on, right? You're planning to meet me in the evening. This is the broad difference between present simple and present continuous. Alright. So now we have done present tense and now it's time to move on to the past tense. Let's start. Alright, so when do we use simple past and when do we use past continuous? Let's see. Now, simple past is used to indicate completed actions in the past. The actions जो past में हुए पर वो complete हो चुके हैं. Alright. And also some habits and facts of the past, जो पुरानी बातें हैं. कोई fact जो past में हो चुका है, जो habit जो past की है. सो बेसिकली पास्ट की जो चीजें होती हैं, जो एक्शन जो कंप्लीट हो गया, या फिर कोई हैबिट जो थी पास्ट में, या फिर कोई फैक्ट तो था पास्ट का. एग्जाम्पल, आई वेंट टू द पूल यस्टरडे. अब ये एक एक्शन था जो मैंने कल कंप्लीट कर लिया. मतलब कि मैं कल आई वेंट टू द पूल यस्टरडे, मैं कल पूल पे गया था या गई थी, और वो जो एक्शन था वो कल ही कंप्लीट हो गया, राइट? कल होके आ गई. सो आई वेंट and this is the completed action in the past. All right. Now next example could be, when I was young, I always visited my grandparents' place during summer. Now here, this is also a fact and habit of the past कि जब भी during summer I always visited, मैं हमेशा visit करता था, पर ये past की बात है, right? This is the habit and fact of the past. So when I was young, I always visited my grandparents' place during summer. This is for the simple past. Now for past continuous, past का कोई interrupted action, जैसे here जैसे और क्या लिखा है, specific time as an interruption and parallel actions. जैसे मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल देती हूँ कि I was doing my homework when the bell rang. I was doing my homework. ये हो गया past continuous कि मैं अपना होमवर्क कर रही थी, past में कर रही थी अपना होमवर्क, और फिर क्या हुआ, ये एक्शन इंटरप्ट हो गया, राइट? When the bell rang. तो मैं प्रोसेस में थी अपना होमवर्क करने के कि अचानक से वो इंटरप्ट हुआ, और क्या हुआ, the bell rang. So an interrupted action is represented by past continuous. कोई past का, right? Then the other one, I was driving my car when the car crashed. This is, just ignore this. I was driving my car when the car crashed. तो मैं अपनी कार ड्राइव कर रही थी. This is also past continuous. और फिर क्या हुआ, वो एक्शन इंटरप्ट हुआ, एक पैरेलल एक्शन हुआ, which is when the car crashed. राइट? सो सिंपल पास्ट जो है, कोई एक्शन जो कंप्लीट हो चुका है, जो हैबिट थी या फैक्ट था पास्ट का. और पास्ट कंटिन्यूअस, जो कंटिन्यूसली एक्शन जो पास्ट में हो रहा था पर वो इंटरप्ट हो गया. कोई स्पेसिफिक टाइम एज एन इंटरप्शन एंड पैरेलल एक्शंस. ऑलराइट, सो दिस इज द यूजेज ऑफ सिंपल पास्ट एंड पास्ट कंटिन्यूअस. So now we have the patterns of simple past tense for regular verbs. अब simple past tense की जो formation है, हम regular verbs के लिए करेंगे और irregular verbs के लिए करेंगे. तो सबसे पहले हम regular verbs के लिए कर लेते हैं. Affirmative sentences मतलब positive sentences पर regular verbs की बात हो रही है यहाँ पे. Okay, let's see. Here कैसे formation होती है? The subject plus the verb and ed. जैसे the verb is skip, so the subject I and skip and ed, skipped, right? Similarly यहाँ पे he होता या she होता तो he skipped, she skipped, they skipped, you skipped, we skipped and they skipped. All right. So this is for the positive. Then again negative है. Negative के लिए did not. Subject plus did not. Did not क्योंकि past का हम बता रहे हैं. Did not plus the infinitive without to. Infinitive मतलब the original form of the verb. जैसे the subject, जैसे हमने example लिया है they. They didn't या did not go. So the verb here is go and it is formed with did not go. So आपको did not के साथ बहुत important है ये याद रखना कि didn't या did not के साथ जो है वो original form ही लगेगा. यहाँ पे go का भी हम past tense नहीं लगा देंगे कि did not went. This will be did not go only. Okay, the infinitive form only. This is very important. So many people make mistakes in this one. This is one of the most important aspects. So subject जैसे I didn't go, you didn't go, he, she, it didn't go, we didn't go, they didn't go. Alright, this is negative. Next we move on to interrogative, matlab questions. So here so we start with did only, right? We start with the verb did plus subject and then the infinitive without to. Again, the same rule applies here. The infinitive without to, यहाँ पे past form नहीं use होता verb का, यहाँ पे infinitive. The original form is used only. So did I arrive? Did you arrive? Did he, she, it arrive? Did we arrive? Did you arrive? Did they arrive? So did and the subject and the infinitive without to. Alright. In one more category, this is pretty easy. ये आपको समझ आ गया तो ये वाला भी बहुत आसानी से समझ आ जाएगा. Interrogative negative. Interrogative negative में didn't, did not, plus the subject, plus the infinitive without to. The same thing here applies. Didn't I play? Didn't you play? Didn't he play? Didn't she play? Didn't it play? Didn't we play? Didn't you play? Didn't they play? Alright, so this is the patterns of simple past tense for regular verbs. Alright, now let's move on. So now these are a few examples for the regular verbs. जैसे यहाँ पे verb है to be. Here the verb is to have. This some action possession बता रहे हैं. Do telling some occurrence. Be telling about a state of being. So for be we use. So for be we say, we can form it as I was, you were, he, she, it was, we were, you were, they were. Alright, this is the past tense, simple past tense for the regular verbs that we're talking about. Then for have, all the formations are in had. And for do, all the formations are in did. Alright, now these are a few basic verbs जो आपको पता होने चाहिए कि कैसे इनका past tense में formation होती है. Be, to have and to do. Alright. Alright, so now these are a few examples of simple past. Just so you see, they weren't in Rio last summer. So simple past, negative, they were not. Right, यहाँ पे to be का conjugation हो रही है in the past tense. They were not in Rio last summer. Completed action in the past कि last summer Rio में थे ही नहीं, action complete हो गया. Similarly, possession के लिए we did not have any money. Right? अब वैसे तो have के लिए क्या होता है? Had होता है. Right? Past में अभी हमने पिछली slide पे देखा had. पर यहाँ पे हम didn't have क्यों use कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि हमने सीखा था कि we didn't have. Did not के साथ हम infinitive form use करते हैं, the original form. Had नहीं use करेंगे. Had तब use करते जब हम बोलते without didn't. जैसे we had money. अगर didn't नहीं होता तब हम had use करते. अभी didn't है तो हम have use करेंगे. Alright. Now here we didn't have time to visit the Eiffel Tower. Again, then we didn't do our exercises this morning. Now again, this is a question, interrogative, were they? The interrogative word, then the subject, were they in Iceland last January? Then the other one, did you have a bicycle? Did you do much climbing in Switzerland? Alright, these are a few examples आपको बस clarify करने के लिए. Now let's move on. Alright, so here we have some irregular verbs. Now the irregular verbs जैसे to go, इनका जो है हम past सिंपल पास्ट का एक पास्ट पार्टिसिपल होता है. जैसे टू गो का पास्ट टेंस में होगा went, राइट. सो I went, she went, he went, they went, you went, we went, so went. But जैसे एग्जाम्पल है he went to a club last night. बट अगर हम इसे did के साथ यूज कर रहे हैं, did के साथ क्या यूज होगा? The infinitive form. I am stressing on this again and again that you have to really remember this. With did, we will be using the infinitive form. Like, did he go to the cinema last night? So this is the past tense, but did के साथ go, the original form is only used. Then he didn't go to bed early last night. Didn't के साथ the original form. Similarly, for the next one, to give, इसमें the past participle is gave. We gave her a doll for her birthday. The rest of them did के साथ didn't जब आ रहा है. They didn't give, which means the original form. They didn't give John their new mattress. For question also, did Barry give, which means the original form. Did Barry give you my passport? And for the rest of them, we use gave when there is no did to be used. I gave her, you gave, he gave, she gave, it gave, we gave, you gave, they gave. Alright, we use gave. Then for similarly to come, the word to be used in the past tense is came. I came, you came, it came, he came, she came, we came, you came, they came. Alright? But again, we didn't. This is the negative. Negative में क्या होगा? We didn't come because it was raining. And then for the question, did he come? मतलब यहाँ पे हमारा original form. So only in the positive sentences, you see in the जब हम affirmative positive sentences की बात कर रहे हैं तो हमारा जो past participle word है, go का went, give का gave, to come का came. उसमें हम use करते हैं past participle and otherwise we use with did and the infinitive without to. Alright, these are the irregular verbs. Now let's move on. Okay, now there are a few verbs जो अपने past tense में भी same रहते हैं. जैसे हमने काफी verbs करे, जैसे give का gave हो गया, I am का I was हो गया, he is का he was हो गया, we are का we were हो गया, इस तरीके से. But कुछ verbs हैं जो same रहते हैं, जैसे we have hit का hit ही रहता है, I hit, present में भी and past में भी I hit ही रहेगा. Cost का cost, hurt का hurt ही रहेगा, cut का cut रहेगा, put का put रहेगा. Alright, now these are a few verbs which stay the same. Alright now. past continuous tense, first of all, the positive sentences, how are they formed? Subject plus was or were plus verb plus ing. For example, she was, sleep is the verb and ing. She was sleeping all morning. Now the other examples could be I was sleeping all morning, and with you we would use were. You were sleeping all morning. Then she was sleeping all morning. We again, with we were sleeping all morning. They were sleeping all morning. Alright, so positive works like this. Then for negative sentences, negative could be subject plus was or were, similar like this, and then not. We include a not in here. And everything else remains the same. We just have to insert a not in the middle. For example, she was not reading the book. We're talking about past continuous tense, right? So she, subject, plus was or were, plus not. Reading the book. Read is the verb and ing. Then we have question. The third category is the question. Here we start with the verb, either was or were, then the subject plus verb ing. Example, were you sleeping in the class? Remember, with you we use were, and with they also we use were. Were they sleeping in the class? Or were you sleeping in the class? And for say the singular second person, we could say, was she sleeping in the class? Alright, so this is the formation. Was a word plus subject plus verb plus ing. This is the formation for the past continuous tense. Now we have various usages and examples for the past continuous tense. Let's see. Past continuous tense is used to describe any parallel actions. Parallel actions like, now the bell rang. Rang is what? Is the past form of ring, and it is used for, this is past, simple past. But while I was doing what? Which action was interrupted? While I was reading. Now reading was the interrupted action, which means I was reading, alright. I was reading and then उसमें एक parallel action हुआ और उससे interrupt हुआ, and that parallel action is described in simple past. The bell rang. Okay. So जो action जो interrupt हुआ है, so the action जो interrupt हुआ है, that is used in past continuous. Alright. Now next, we have an interrupted action in the past. Similarly, interrupted action कोई हुआ, जैसे I was eating. I was eating, and when what happened? When I heard a loud thud. Alright. So again, which is the interrupted action? The interrupted action is I was eating. और अचानक से एक loud thud हुआ. So this action which is interrupted is eating, and that is in past continuous. Alright, then next, to describe action being done in past. जो action past में हो रहा था. Alright. For example, I was working all day long. मतलब पूरे दिन continuously I was working. So the action was being done. Alright. और अगर मुझे ये बोलना होता कि मैंने कल काम किया है, I completed this work. So I will say I worked yesterday. I completed my work yesterday. So that will be simple past. And this is past continuous. Why? Because we are telling about an action being done. Alright. Now to show any kind of repetition and irritation. And here I'm sorry, there's a spelling error. For repetition between P and T, we get E. So to show any repetition or irritation, example, why are you always complaining? So complain and ing, the past continuous form. So when is past continuous used? Describe parallel actions, to show any interrupted action in the past, to describe action being done in the past, or to show any repetition and irritation. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so now we will be starting off with future tense. We have done broad categories of past tense and present tense. Now we will move on towards future tense. Alright, let's start. Alright, so now let's start the quiz. जो भी हमने revise किया है, we will be applying it in our mock questions, which will be as per the pattern of the IEO exam. Now let's test you, and you should also keep your pen and paper with you and make columns and start doing the quiz. अगर आपको लगता है कि अभी you have not completely understood, so you should go back and revise it first, and then we will start off with the quiz. So let's start. Now for every question you will be given 1 minute. 1 minute, 60 seconds you will be given as per the timer. Now why am I giving you 60 seconds? Because for every IEO question you are given more than 60 seconds in the final exam. तो मैंने safe side पे आपको 1 minute दिया है. अब इसमें दो category of students होंगे. One category जो less than 1 minute में अपने question solve कर लेते हैं. तो जब ये कर लेते हैं तो you should तो अगर आपने जल्दी क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लिया तो आप फास्ट फॉरवर्ड करके आप आंसर देख लीजिए. पर वो कैटेगरी जो स्टूडेंट्स ये 1 मिनट में आंसर नहीं दे पाते हैं, तो आपको डिसहार्टन नहीं होना है, दुखी नहीं होना है. आप पॉज करें और पहले अपना आंसर दें. जो भी आंसर आपको लग रहा है सही है वो आप आंसर लिखें, उसके बाद ही आप आंसर देखें. ये यू शुड मेक श्योर कि आप कोई भी क्वेश्चन स्किप ना करें, आप सबके आंसर दें, चाहे वो सही हो या गलत, वो सेकेंडरी चीज है. मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट इज कि आप पहले आंसर दें. ओके, सो and for every correct answer you give yourself 10 points, and for every incorrect answer no points. Why no points? Because IEO में there is no negative marking. आपका आंसर चाहे गलत हो या फिर आपने आंसर नहीं किया हो तो आपको 0 ही मिलेगा. ओके, सो इट इज बेटर कि सपोज अगर आप किसी क्वेश्चन में कंफ्यूजन है कि इसका आंसर क्या होगा, नहीं समझ आ रहा, तो आपने उसे छोड़ना नहीं है, आपने उसको आंसर करना है. और चाहे आपको लग रहा हो कि ये शायद ये आंसर सही हो सकता है बी या सी से, तो आप उसे पक्का पॉइंट आउट करके आओ, मतलब उसे OMR शीट पे मार्क करके आओ, बिकॉज देयर आर चांसेस कि वो आपका आंसर सही हो जाए. ऑलराइट, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट. Alright, so what do we have to do here is we have to read the given passage and fill in the blanks using the simple present form. Now here बहुत easy है कि हमें क्या करना है, हमें बस simple present form of the verb, जो भी ब्रैकेट में दे रखा है verb, ऐसे यहाँ पे उसकी हमें simple present form बनानी है. This is very easy question. ठीक है, so let's see the first one. Now the first blank says, water in the sea and on the ground constantly dash due to the heat of the sun. So here we have the verb evaporate. Let's see what is the answer. The option is A. Constantly evaporate due to heat of the sun. B. Constantly do evaporate due to heat of the sun. C. Constantly evaporates due to the heat of the sun. Or D. Constantly evaporated. Now here the correct answer is constantly evaporates. Now these are जो हमने बोला था irregular forms of the verb. इसमें what do? We put in an S. जो verb है उसके आगे हम एक S लगा लेते हैं. Now this ये तो infinitive form ही है. Do evaporate. This is not required here. Evaporated. D. ED आ गया इसमें. And this is the past form. तो ये भी गलत है. Alright. So evaporates due to the heat of sun. Due to heat of the sun. Answer C. Alright, so here the next blank says water dash converted into vapor, which, okay, so the verb here is get. Let's see the option. Water get converted into vapor. A. B. Water do get converted into vapor. C. Water got converted into vapor. Or D. Water gets converted into vapor. So here the correct answer is D. Water gets converted into vapor. जैसे कि हमने पढ़ा था कि ये जो सिंपल प्रेजेंट है कैसे फॉर्म होता है एस या एस लगा के. So we're talking about this in the third person. Water gets converted into vapor. जो A एक ऑप्शन है get, ये तो infinitive form है. B also is along with do, which is incorrect. And got, C, is the past form. So all these three are incorrect and the correct option is D. Now let's move on. Water gets converted into vapor which dash upwards in the atmosphere. The options are A. Go. Water gets converted into vapor which go upwards in the atmosphere. B. Which goes upwards in the atmosphere. C. Which does go upwards in the atmosphere. Or D. Which do go upwards in the atmosphere. So here the correct answer is B. Goes. Same explanation as the previous two ones. We have S and ES which is added. And for the A option, this is just the infinitive, and does and do, both of these C and D, they are not to be used here. Right. So the correct answer is B. Water gets converted into vapor which goes upwards in the atmosphere. Alright. Fourth blank, water vapor then dash on the dust particles to form clouds. The options are A. Water vapor then condense on the dust particles to form clouds. B. Water vapor then condenses on the dust particles to form clouds. C. Water vapor then condensed on the dust particles to form clouds. Or D. Water vapor then dust condenses on the dust particles to form clouds. Alright. So here the correct answer is again B. Why? Because we form it with S and ES. Use the verb, subject, then verb with S or ES. Alright. Now this one is the infinitive form. C. Condensed. This is the past form. Dust condenses is incorrect in itself. The correct answer is B. Condenses. So the next question, the fifth blank, let's see. When clouds dash up, they condense into water. So A, when clouds goes up. B, when clouds gone up. C, when clouds go up. D, when clouds going up. So here the correct answer is C. When clouds go up. Why go and why not goes? Because here we are talking about plural. Alright, and es and es is added in the case of singular third person. Here is plural. When clouds, where is it? Here. When clouds is plural. So here we will use just the infinitive, the original form of the verb go. When clouds go up. Alright, now es, a1, I told you it is not to be used here. Gone is for the past tense. Going is for the continuous tense. Now that's it. Let's move on. Alright, the next option, blank. They condense into water which dash down again as rains. Now the options: A, which come down again as rains. B, which came down again as rains. C, which comes down again as rains. D, which does come down again as rains. Now here the correct answer is which. They condense into water which comes down. Here the answer is C again. Now again come, it is the infinitive form which is not to be used. B came, this is the past form, and D does come, this is again incorrect. Alright, now so the sentence says, when clouds go up, they condense into water which comes down again as rains. So water is a singular third person. So water which comes down as rains. Let's move on. Alright, so here the next blank says, 7th, where is it here? Dash what Okay, so here the verb says you know. You know what? So let's see the options. A, you know what. B, you do know what. C, you knows what. D, do you know what? So here the correct answer is D. Now this is a question, right? Because if you see, you know what dash happened to this water. So here this is a question, right? So क्वेश्चन में हम सिंपल प्रेजेंट की फॉर्मेशन कैसे करते हैं, डू लगा के. एंड फॉर द अदर, this would have been correct if this would have not been a question, but it is a question. This is incorrect. And you do know is also the incorrect form. You knows is also incorrect because S is only used in singular third person. All right. Okay, so question 8. Now, do you know what dash to this water? A, what happened to this water? B, do you know what happens to this water? C, do you know what happened to this water? Or D, do you know what does happen to this water? So here the correct answer is B. Do you know what happens to this water? Now water is the singular third person, so we will be using happen with S. So A, infinitive one, is not used because it is singular and the third person. C, happen is the past form, and again does happen is only for the negative or the questions. So here we are talking about water in the third person and it is singular. So what happens to this water? All right. Now the next blank, all of it dash into earth. A, all of it not seeps into earth. B, all of it do not seep into earth. C. All of it does not seep into earth. D. All of it does not seeps into earth. Now here the correct answer is C. All of it does not seep into earth. Now first of all, this is negative sentence, and for negative third person singular we use does. यहाँ पे SES does में ही आ जाता है, right? So does not seep, यहाँ पे हम infinitive form use करते हैं. Alright, so all of it does not seep into earth. The correct answer is C. And A इसमें not seeps incorrect है because we don't have does here, and यहाँ पे S लगा हुआ है. Do not seep, B is incorrect because it is do, यहाँ पे does होना चाहिए. And D is also incorrect because does not seeps हो रखा है, यहाँ पे S नहीं आएगा. Okay. The correct answer is C. All of it does not seep into earth. Alright, so now the next question. Let's see. Sushil dash too much. The verb is read. The option is A. Sushil read too much. B. Sushil reading too much. C. Sushil is read too much. D. Sushil is reading too much. Now here the correct answer is Sushil read too much. We're talking about simple past. That Sushil बहुत पढ़ता था. Sushil read too much. Alright. So for read, the past form is read, but the spelling is the same. So Sushil read too much. For the other options, B reading, this is continuous one. C is read, this is the present tense. D is reading, is the present continuous tense. Correct answer is A, read. Alright, so the next blank is 16. Even yesterday he dashed a novel. The verb is read. The options are A. Even yesterday he was read a novel. B. Even yesterday he was reading a novel. C. Even yesterday he reads a novel. Or D. Even yesterday he reading a novel. Now here the correct answer is B. Even yesterday he was reading a novel. Alright, so for the rest, because this is past continuous. Okay, and how do we form past continuous? The subject, then either was or were, and then the verb and the ing form. Alright, as for the other options, A was read. This is incorrect. Then reads is simple present. Reading is the continuous form. So all of these are incorrect. The correct answer is B. Even yesterday he was reading a novel. Alright, so the next option, they always dash fast. The verb is walk. A, they always walked fast. B, they always walk fast. C, they always walking fast. And D, they always walks fast. Here the correct answer is they always walked fast. We're talking about simple past. Right, they always walked fast. We're talking about a past habit. Okay, जैसे हमने पढ़ा था simple past में हम कोई habit की या फिर जो fact है previously कोई completed action है तो उसके लिए so they always walked fast, simple past. ed add करके हमने past simple past की formation कर दी. But the rest of the options, B, walk is the infinitive form, walking is used for the continuous form, D, walks is for the again the simple present. Alright, that's all. The next option says they always walked fast, but they dashed slowly then. The verb is walk. Now the options: A, but they were walking slowly then. B, but they is walking slowly then. C, but they are walking slowly then. Or D, but they walk slowly then. Here the correct answer is A, but they were walking slowly then. Now here this action started, पता चल रहा है then से कि कुछ interruption हुई and उसके बाद they started walking slowly. So but they were walking slowly then. They के साथ we use were and the verb and the ing and then the ing we add to the verb. Alright. So this is past continuous form. Now B, is walking is not used with they. Now they is the plural third person form. So is not used. Then for the rest of these, R is also not used, and D, walks is also walks is simple present. So this is also incorrect. Alright. Now the next question says, I am dash French since I lived in Paris for a long time. A, I am writing French since I lived in Paris for a long time. B, I am speaking French since I lived in Paris for a long time. C, I am took French since I lived in Paris for a long time. D, I am telling French since I lived in Paris for a very long time. Here the correct answer is B. Now French is a language and you speak a language. You don't really write any language. You don't really take any language and you don't tell any language, right? So here I am speaking French. मतलब ये एक present continuous tense में है कि जब से मैं पेरिस में रहा हूँ since I lived in Paris for a long time, तब से what have I been doing? I have been speaking French. I'm speaking French. तो एक continuous tense है कि ये action चल ही रहा है. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Here the next question says the train is dash, hurry up. A. The train is leaving, hurry up. B. The train is going, hurry up. C. The train is left, hurry up. D. The train is liked, hurry up. Here very easy. The correct answer is A. The train is leaving. No, train nikal rahi hai, jaldi karo. Train is leaving, hurry up. Right, now others you see like going and left is the past tense, liked is again the past tense. The train is leaving. तभी कह रहे हैं जल्दी करने के लिए, ट्रेन निकले जा रही है, अभी हो रहा है वो एक्शन. Present continuous, कि अभी ट्रेन निकल रही है. You know, if you hurry up, the train won't leave. So hurry up. Train is leaving. All right. Now the next question says, you dash that it was my mother's birthday yesterday. A. You do that it was my mother's birthday yesterday. B. You forgetting that it was my mother's birthday yesterday. C. You leave that it was my mother's birthday yesterday. Or D. You forgot that it was my mother's birthday yesterday. Here the correct answer is D. Forgot. That you forgot, कि तुम भूल गए. Alright, तुम भूल गए कि it was my mother's birthday yesterday. Talking about the past tense, and you also forgot it. Right? We're talking about the past. Yesterday, ये चीज हो गई है. It is a completed action in the past. तुम भूल गए, it has been completed. Right? So the answer is D. And the other ones, A. Do, incorrect. C. Leave is also incorrect, and B. Forgetting. This is for continuous form, जो भी यहाँ पे suitable नहीं है. यहाँ पे हम simple past की एक action था जो complete हो चुका है. That's why it will be forgot. You forgot that it was my mother's birthday yesterday. All right, let's move on. So here we have a few HOTS questions, the high order thinking skills questions, which are in the achievers section. They carry 2 marks each. Let's do these. So we are given a blank and we have to choose the appropriate response. जैसे the first question says, Rishi dash when the doorbell rang. A. Rishi sang when the doorbell rang. B. Rishi was singing when the doorbell rang. C. Rishi is singing when the doorbell rang. D. Rishi sung when the doorbell rang. Here the correct answer is B. Rishi was singing. अगर आपको याद हो तो हमने किया है past continuous में क्या होता है. Past continuous में एक action हो रहा होता है और फिर उसको बीच में ना ऐसे वो interrupt हो जाता है. मतलब ऋषि was singing and अचानक से वो interrupt हुआ और क्या हुआ कि जो doorbell थी वो doorbell बज गई. Alright, so here we will be using present continuous, which past continuous, sorry, was singing, past continuous. Rest of these, A sang is the past form, is singing, present continuous, and sung again, past form. Alright, let's move on. Now, next question. I dash my project file. Please don't disturb. Which means the options. I read my project file. Please don't disturb. B. I was reading my project file. Please don't disturb. C. I am reading my project file. Please don't disturb. D. I have read my project file. Please don't disturb. So here the correct answer is I am reading my project file. Please don't disturb. क्यों? क्योंकि ये एक present action है. एक present continuous action है जो continuously हो रहा है कि I am reading my project file. Alright. And for the rest of these, A read या read जिसे हम कह सकते हैं, which is the present infinitive form जो incorrect. I was reading ये एक past continuous हो गया. The I have read, this is also incorrect in this present situation. The correct answer is I am reading. मतलब कि अभी मैं पढ़ ही रही हूँ, बीच में मेरे को परेशान मत करो. Alright. Alright, so here, my uncle dashed skateboards for me on my last birthday. This we're talking about a past thing which has happened. Right? So let's see, my uncle A brought skateboards for me on my last birthday. B, my uncle brings skateboards for me on my last birthday. B, my uncle is bringing skateboards for me on my last birthday. D, my uncle brings skateboards for me on my last birthday. Here, the correct answer is A. My uncle brought skateboards for me on my last birthday. क्योंकि यहाँ एक previous, एक already completed action की बात हो रही है, जो already हो चुका है past में. Alright, so A brought. For the other ones, B brings is simple present, is bringing is present continuous, and bring is the infinitive form. So the correct answer here is A. Alright, so the next question says, why dash you lend me your textbook? I really needed it. Now the options are A. Why does you lend me your textbook? I really needed it. B. Why don't you lend me your textbook? I really needed it. C. Why didn't you lend me your textbook? Why didn't you lend me your textbook? I really needed it. Or D. Why are you lend me your textbook? I really needed it. The correct answer is C. Why didn't you lend me your textbook? I really needed it. Why so? Because you see this option, I really needed it. This part of the sentence is telling us that this sentence is set in the past. Alright, I really needed it. मुझे उसकी बहुत ज़रूरत थी. Past की बात है. So, तो हम उससे भी पहले की बात कर रहे हैं कि why did you not lend me your textbook? So, why didn't you lend me your textbook? That's why. For the other ones, A does not make sense here. B don't and D are. None of them make sense here. The only correct answer is C. Didn't. Alright, now this is the last question. This one says, my grandmother dashed to temple every day in the morning. Now the options are my grandmother going to temple every day in the morning. B. My grandmother go to temple every day in the morning. C. My grandmother gone to temple every day in the morning. D. My grandmother goes to temple in the morning. Goes to temple every day in the morning. Now here the correct answer is goes. D. My grandmother goes to temple every day in the morning. यहाँ पे क्यों देखो आप क्या बात हो रही है कि सिंपल प्रेजेंट एक जनरल हैबिट की कि माई ग्रैंडमदर गोज टू टेम्पल मतलब रोज की बात है. सिंपल प्रेजेंट के रोज ही होता है काम, एक हैबिट की बात हो रही है, राइट. सो गोज. For the other options, A. Going is used for continuous, B. Go used as infinitive, C. Gone used in past form. Correct answer is D.
So that's all for today's video on tenses. I hope you have understood all the concepts and its forms and the various examples that we took. Now I would expect you to keep on revising all this and to also focus on the various forms and their formations. And that's all for today's video. Thank you.